This is Britt Simon. I thought I'd just do a video this morning, a Sunday morning, and see if I can answer any questions for any of you. And also just sort of set up in the beginning of the video here, just set up where we are, what I expect to happen over the next few days in the remaining days of DV 2021. So let me start there, and then I'll jump quickly to answering questions if you have any. So to talk about the next few days, where are we? We're the 1st of August. Bioflock. Yeah. Hi, Malia. How are you doing? Lots happening. Feeling positive, says VS Pillay. That's great. So yes, we're going to be talking about some of these cases. So we're the 1st of August. Normally by now, the final interviews for the month of September will have been scheduled. And what actually will happen over the next few days is probably for the next week, perhaps even 2 weeks, we'll probably continue to see some scheduling of interviews for September. And during that time, we'll also be waiting for the outcome of the lawsuits, the Go lawsuit, the Good Luck lawsuit, and so on. And of course, the Gomez lawsuit for DV 2020. So we simply have to wait for the lawsuit outcomes. There's no new information about those. There's no decisions made. We just have to wait for those. Just got to remain patient, right? And hopefully what will happen is we'll get some sort of outcome where the government will be told by the judge to schedule more interviews in September. I hope that will happen. I hope we'll have the level 4 tier removed. I don't know if that's a possibility, but we'll see. And then most importantly, probably by the end of September, we would see a preservation of visas. That would be the most important outcome that we could possibly see, a preservation of visas for DV 2021, and of course a decision about the DV 2020 visas as to whether they're going to be issued or not. I think it's almost without doubt that I don't think Judge Mehta will reserve more visas for DV 2021 unless he's made a decision on DV 2020 visas as to whether they can be issued or not. I think there's a natural connection between those two considerations in Judge Mehta's mind. If he has the ability, the legal power, in his opinion, the legal authority to issue the visas that were saved for DV 2020, then he could use that same power in DV 2021 and vice versa. So there's a natural connection between those two cases, but there is no news. So on DV 2020, and I'm about to be asked, I'm quite sure, half a dozen times about DV 2020. On DV 2020, we don't have a decision. There is no date by which Judge Mehta has to give us a decision, and I don't have a prediction for how the decision is going to be made. And then on DV 2021, really the same thing. There is no date, by which we must get a decision, etc. The only thing that is a little bit more clear in DV 2021 is that the preservation order would have to be made by the end of September in order for it to be useful going forward. So that's the position. So no news on Gomez, no news yet on the DV 2021 cases. DV 2022, I'm starting to hear a couple of people that are getting some sort of processing on their case, but I've heard nothing about people who've been told they're ready for scheduling or anything like that for DV 2022 cases. Literally nothing. So that means there's going to be almost no interviews starting in October for DV 2022 cases, probably none or very, very few. With the continuation of the tiered system, that's the way it's going to be. And probably October, November, December probably will be a very slow start for DV 2022. So there you go. Hi, Sue. How you doing? Great to see you. So it's Sunday evening here. Good. I've caught you at the right time of day for a change. Okay, so covered that. When can we expect a decision? I don't know. You're 2021, you didn't send your documents, what should you do? Everybody, all together, what should this person do? Everybody, send your bloody documents. That's what you should do, whether you've been asked or not. Send your documents, right? Everybody else knows that. I don't know why you don't know that. So, send them. Now, let me just say a little bit of caution. There is no harm in sending your documents, right? At this point, you already sent in your DS-260. By sending your DS-260, you declared immigrant intent. If you don't get a visa, the submission of your DS-260 will affect or could affect future non-immigrant visa applications, right? But sending the documents doesn't make that worse. So you may as well send the documents. Now, you're probably too late to be scheduled. If you send the documents now, you're too late, right? I didn't see your case. Case is super high, AS 33,000, super high. You're not going to get an interview for sure, because A, your case number is too high, B, you've left it too late, and you're not going to get an interview unless we win the lawsuit and we get a preservation of visas. And it's for that last point that I'm saying send your documents. There's no harm in it, and you may be in a position where that would benefit you to have sent your documents. So send your bloody documents. That's it. But don't expect to have an interview in September. It's absolutely impossible. You will not get an interview in September because you've left it too late and your case number is too high. Okay. So my interview has been scheduled in Poland, even though I indicated DS-260, you want it in Cameroon, in your home country. Now no means for me to... Why did you get scheduled in Poland? I don't understand. So you were presumably living in Poland when you submitted your DS-260. Is that what happened? And they've scheduled you according to your residential address, no matter what you asked for. They ignore what you asked for and they schedule you according to your residential address. If you're now telling me that you live in Cameroon, then you would have to move the interview from Poland to Cameroon. The way you do that is by speaking to the Cameroonian embassy and saying, will you accept my interview? I've got my interview scheduled. You prove that you've got your interview scheduled. Will you accept the interview there? They may say yes. If they do, you then contact the Polish embassy and you ask them to transfer the case to Cameroon. That's how you do it. There is some risk in that. Cameroon may say no. Poland may screw it up and may not send it. So, frankly, it would be better if you were interviewing in Poland. If you can get on the plane and go to Poland, do that. But if you can't do that, then you have to do what I just said. Okay? Yeah, and KCC won't help you. If they've already scheduled the interview, KCC will not get involved. It's now your case is with the Polish embassy. That's how it works. Hi, Simon. When will they ask for documents? I don't know. I don't know when they're going to start asking for documents, and I don't know if they'll go in a strict number order at the point at which they start asking for documents either. We'll just have to wait and see. There's no way I can predict their next move. Oric, I passed DV2020, but now closed. How can I do any more? You have to be more clear. More clear. What do you mean you passed DV2020? 2020. Did you get your visa, but you weren't able to use it? Make it more clear. In order to give you specific, clear guidance, I need a clear question. I need to know your situation. And what you just wrote doesn't help. Doesn't help anybody. So don't waste your opportunity to ask me a question. Make it clear, please. Okay. It's pretty frustrating when people do that because you may need help and I may be able to help you, but I can't help you if you don't help yourself by making it clear. And I know that English is not your first language, but take some care in the way you ask the questions. This information I give to people, I give for free It's valuable information. My information is as good as or better than any lawyer that will charge you $500 an hour to speak to me, right? And I'm giving you this for free. So take a little bit of care to ask the question for, in a sensible way, and consider how the hell I'm going to answer it, right? Orc, I'm talking to you. So, think about it, please. Andrea, how about DV interview 2021, case number 416 in Good Luck? Okay, because you're in Good Luck, you have to wait and see what happens in Good Luck. There's going to be very few interviews arranged, now for September from this point forward. We've seen most of the interviews that will be arranged. The Good Luck case is now where your luck lies, right? So if it depends on what happened in Good Luck. In terms of trying to guess when you'll have an interview or whatever else, it's entirely to do with Good Luck. So, that's just, you're waiting for that. Mercy Larway, should I be worried? I got 2 cases DV 2020, and why would you be worried? Why is it, again, another one. Why are you worried? Are you worried because you lied in one of them? If you lied in one of them, yeah, that can bite you in the ass. But it's not a problem to win twice in DV 2020 and DV 2022. That's not a problem. Why would you be worried? Make it clear why you're worried, right? Try and explain. Good news, says Eli. Our Cuban fans asked. Oh, okay, good. They already got the visas. Okay, so some Cuban winners were asked for the DS5535, and they were asked to complete that, and then they got their visas. So in other words, they went into administrative processing, and that's now over. That's great news. Good. I'm glad for people. I'm thrilled when people hear that they've got their visa. Samuel says, I sent them the documents about March. Should I send it again in case it bounced back? But I got an auto reply. You're a Good Luck plaintiff. AF 65,000. Right. So they were never going to get to your case number, AF 65,000, in terms of processing. So when you sent it in March, they basically ignored it until now. They've done nothing with your documents. So it doesn't matter whether you got your documents right or wrong or whatever else, they just haven't done anything with them, because they're processing through a very full inbox in case number order. I explained in a couple of videos ago, I explained exactly how that's happening. So you're like the other person who asked, your only chance, Samuel, is the Good Luck lawsuit. So it's all about the Good Luck lawsuit. You have no other chance, right? That your chance is gone unless Good Luck lawsuit can achieve a result for you. So you just have to wait and see what happens there. King of the North, hello, mate. So AS 21 and your 4,000, nice low number. Received, current for interview since February and still waiting. U.S. Embassy Kabul is focusing on SAV only. Again, your luck, as it were, your only opportunity, even though you're current for interview, which means that you're totally ready for scheduling. Your only opportunity is because of the lawsuit. If you haven't been interviewed by now, and you won't be interviewed in September, almost certainly, because it's Kabul, then your only opportunity is now going to be a preservation of visas globally through the lawsuits, which may happen. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But that's the only thing we can hope for now. No good news for DV 2020. We're waiting for a long time. You just have to continue to be patient. There's nothing, it doesn't matter. Nobody, in the government or the lawsuits or whatever, really takes into account how long you've been waiting. That has nothing to do with the law. That's just your frustration. And I get it, but that doesn't change. Just because you've been waiting a long time doesn't mean that they're going to do something special for you. Wow, Sarpong, I'm marvelous. Love from Ghana. That's lovely. Thank you. Love to hear from my Ghanaian friends. Proud, does it mean DV lottery winners will not issue visa? There are thousands of people getting visas in DV 2021, but they're not going to issue anything like all of them. Nothing like. They're going to issue maybe 10,000, maybe 12,000 visas before the end of September, unless the lawsuits make a difference. So, the government is on a path, on a trajectory to waste 40,000 visas, and they're okay with that. They don't care. They think that's fine, right? That's what the government think is a good job, right? None of us obviously agree with that. But that's the way it works, and they will not be held responsible if that continues. The only thing that's going to change this now are the lawsuits. So that's what that's the position we're in. 2020, spouse couldn't pass the interview with me. I was in Vietnam. You got your green card. You're both Kennedy plaintiff. What should you do? You've got your green card. You presumably got your green card and went to America and activated your green card. That means your DV case is over. You can't now continue your DV case for your derivatives. It doesn't work like that. You need to stop focusing on the DV case because you no longer have a DV case. The day you took your visa and entered the USA, your DV case ended. Okay, so that's it. Now what you have to do is sponsor your family members, your derivatives, through family-based case non-DV, right? So you need to start learning about that process, and it will probably take a couple of years. There's nothing quicker. So there you go. Let's talk about a 2022 question. It's an incomplete question. Being selected 2022, I am trying all my best to fill DS260 ICANNs. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the question is. Sorry. Ask it again. Try again. Did you read the Vox article? What do you think? Maybe a good impact. I didn't read the Vox article. No. Could you let me know what that is? Is that the one about how the government is wasting visas? It was, it was in several other publications. I think it might have been sort of put out on Reuters or something. But no, I don't know the article you're talking about, Eli. So if you have the link, put it in chat, please. I'll look for that. Thank you. This is a question that comes up a lot, that people want to know how the visas will be divided, or will there be a prioritization system or anything else? And the reality is we don't know. I think it's unlikely that Judge Mehta is going to tell the government how to prioritize. I think it'll be up to the government to figure out how to give out the visas. And obviously there's a big difference between whether we're only talking about the 9,095 visas or whether Judge Mehta agrees with the requests from the lawyers to increase that number, because they've argued, the lawyers in the Gomez and related cases have argued the math, the methodology that Judge Mehta used to only reserve 9,095. I actually don't think he's going to give on that. My personal opinion, just a guess. I think he took into account the COVID effect, and he took into account the government's inaction, and he did not give us relief for the natural occurrence, if you like, the act of God or whatever you want to call it, of COVID. He only gave us relief for the government's inaction or action against the DV lottery candidates and so on. And I think Judge Mehta is going to stand by that calculation, actually. So then there would just be the 9,000 visas, and how they'll be prioritized, how they'll be divided, I don't know. I can't guess that. I would imagine it's going to be first come, first served, which will give an advantage to anybody that was actually scheduled at the embassy but not yet processed. Perhaps those people who were in AP might have an advantage. There'll be, some people will have an advantage that way, but we'll have to wait and see. So Roger says your case number is 12,000 from Ghana. Not gotten 2NL. Would I get the chance for an interview? I don't know, Roger. Firstly, you don't tell me the year. I'm going to assume it's DV 2021. But you haven't given me the key piece of information, which is whether your documents have been processed or not. If your documents have been processed and you have been told already that you are ready for scheduling, then possibly you might be able to get an interview before the end of September. If not, if you haven't had your ready for scheduling email, then you probably have to just wait and see what the lawsuit does, right? That's the reality. Any thoughts about Moscow embassy? Not really. The Moscow embassy is caught up in a sort of political tit for tat. I don't know what's going to happen about that. I don't think Judge Mehta is going to be able to fix that problem for people there. All Judge Mehta really can do is, and the best thing he can do is give us a preservation of visas to allow more time, and perhaps tell the government, if you've got someone in Moscow that can get to Kiev, for example, or any other embassy, then you need to let those people interview. No more of this nonsense of one embassy saying we're only handling the people within our country. It's possible Judge Mehta may say, look, you've got to be a bit more cooperative than that. Okay. I got an email from KCC on 26th of July for your documents, and you'll send them on the same day. Will I get scheduled for interview AF 27,000? No, basically you won't. Again, you're going to have to wait for the lawsuit, right? I think people need to understand something that I've been explaining for a couple of months. There's two things going on, and this really confuses people. I don't know why. So please listen very, very carefully to what I'm about to explain. All of you, please, because people argue with me about this, and I don't understand why they don't get it. So there are the case numbers for DV2021 are now irrelevant because all cases are current, right? That's one statement. That's a clear statement. Normally case numbers are important, but for DV2021, they are no longer important, right? However, documents are processed in case number order when KCC Documents Department have a backlog of documents in their queue, right? If they get rid of the backlog of documents, if they've got no more work to do, they can do high case numbers. And that's how some high case numbers got interviewed when they went through at the beginning of the year very quickly. They were able to be interviewed. But other than that, documents are being processed in case number order, right? That's the second statement. That's a clear second statement. Do you understand that so far? Third statement, completely unrelated to the first two, is that because in my statement number one, I said case numbers are no longer important, you then have to understand, okay, so what order are they scheduling interviews in? And the order that they're scheduling the interviews, the prioritization for scheduling interviews, is based on the date on which you became ready for scheduling or documentarily qualified. And so far, they're only scheduling people that were documentarily qualified months ago, right? So even though they continue to ask people for documents in June and July and so on, those cases have no chance of being interviewed by the end of September. None, zero, zip, nada. There's already 20-something thousand people who were ready for scheduling by March of this year, and they won't get through all of those. They're not even going to get to all of those, right? So someone that becomes ready for scheduling in July has no chance of getting an interview by the end of September. The only chance that those cases have, therefore, is from the lawsuit, right? And that's just the reality. Whether you choose to understand it or not, whether you want to argue with me or not, that's the reality. And there are three statements there. So some people now are going to say, that's not right about how they process documents, because my friend Ethel got, forget it. Everything I just said to you is exactly right. And the only reason that some people are arguing with me is because they don't understand the difference between the processing of documents and the scheduling of interviews. There are two different things there, two different statements, right? So, and then they'll throw at me the initial high case numbers that were scheduled and saying, well, it's not true for them then. Yes, it is, if you listen to what I said. I just gave you the whole thing, right? So that's the reality. It's all very explainable and understandable. And whether you think it's fair or not is a good question, but that is the reality of what's going on. Okay. So in your case, you can't get a schedule, you can't get an interview unless the lawsuit wins and achieves a preservation of visas beyond September 30th. Other than that, you're not going to get an interview. Okay. In Go, we have 9K plaintiffs, about 500 cases. 9K plaintiffs? No, we don't. No, we don't. Well, what? Oh, 9K. Oh, okay. So you're just a bit confused with what 9K means. 9K means 9,000. So no, there's about 900 plaintiffs, around 500 cases. That's, not 9K, right? And the government had our name since June. Do you think we can be adjudicated before September 30th? That group of people, the Go cases, I think have got the best chance of being prioritized and moved through the system quickly. More than the Good Luck case, because the Good Luck case was filed later, and the Go case had its final hearing already, right? The hearing the other day was the final hearing. So, for example, we could this week, and I'm not saying we will, and this is not a prediction, but we could this week, probably quite early this week, get a decision from Judge Mehta on the Go case to say, what he wants to have happen on that. Judge Mehta is booked up through August. He was unavailable to the lawyers in August. And I agree with Chuck Cook and co. that it appeared to me that he was trying to get an order ready very quickly in the time he had remaining in July. So we could see in the early part of this week an order on the Go case. And that order could be very impactful for everybody else, not just the Go case, but everybody else. But it's mostly going to be impactful, I believe, for those cases, and they would be prioritized through the system between now and the end of September. There's a good chance that those people can be prioritized and move through the system by the end of September. But we have to wait and see. I can't guarantee any of what I just said. It's just speculation, right? It's just a guess. Okay. Roger, thank you I answered your question earlier, but thank you for confirming. Mohammed, you've submitted the DS-260, but provided the US address, you very recently changed by my relatives. I thought you were about to say you changed your relatives. Okay, so your relatives moved. That's a strange way of saying that. Could I unblock and provide another address? Your DV2022. Don't do that. There's no need to unlock and change that address. You can do that at the interview. So don't go through an unlock process, which right now they're not unlocking cases quickly anyway because they're working on DV2021. So don't bother. Just don't. It's not necessary to unlock your case. You can change the address at the interview, right? So do that. Prout, you don't really and clearly understand what you mean by visa preservation. Okay, good question. Let me answer that question. The DV lottery year is set up to end on the September 30th of each year, right? That's the end of what's called the fiscal year, right? And at that point, anybody that hadn't received their visa by that time loses their chance. The visas, whatever visas have not been issued, the law says all those visas are gone, right? And so preserving the visas is what Judge Mehta did last year on September 30th. He preserved 9,095 visas for DV 2020. And what he said was, for these visas, I'm telling the government on September 30th, which is the final day that those visas could be valid, I'm telling you to set them aside, to preserve them, to reserve them for later issuance. And they used a legal term called nunc pro tunc, so then for now. In other words, he set aside or preserved 9,095 visas, which he wanted to make a final decision about that he still hasn't made, where he could force the government to issue those visas later, even though the fiscal year had ended, right? So it's a way of saving someone's opportunity for that visa and preserving the validity of that visa for later issuance, but issuance at a later date, as if it was issued on September 30th of last year. And so the lawyers are asking in this year, DV 2021, they're asking for preservation of visas for beyond the September 30th deadline of this year, okay? Because that deadline is the same every year. And the only other way, the only other way to get visas issued after the end of the year is through an act of law, a change of law that goes through Congress and through the Senate and so on. There is a bill going through the lawmaking process going through Congress at the moment that is trying to help people that were in DV 2020 and DV 2021, and also is trying to help people that were affected by the Muslim ban in DV 2017 to 2020. However, that is not law yet. It's not been agreed, and it's got a difficult chance of being agreed all the way through the Senate. It may be possible, but it's the people that know these things say it's got about a 30% chance of success. So it's more likely that it would not succeed in its present form. So we have to just wait and see what happens about that. Okay, I hope that makes it clear what preservation is. Okay. If Good Luck and Go gets preservation, do you see Go continuing adjudication from October 1st? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't even want to sort of try and guess this, Synthesia. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. I think Charles Cook's perspective is the more important thing is to get as many visas issued before September 30th as possible, and then try and get a preservation either in the Go case or the Good Luck case, however. But how that will work, I don't know. I think I've covered that one. US Embassy is closed in my country. Can I send my documentation without being asked? Yes. Your embassy being open has got nothing to do with you sending documents. There's no connection there. So of course you can send your documents, right? Please do that. Can we expect an order regarding plaintiff prioritization from JM? Judgment. So it is normal in these cases, particularly cases where there's a class action, that the named plaintiffs, although, if you look at the DV 2020 class, there are some named plaintiffs and a lot of non-named plaintiffs that are covered by the class. So all of the people were covered by the class, everybody in DV 2020, but the named plaintiffs got special prioritization, and that's pretty normal. That's a normal thing. And so there was an advantage for those people that were brave and courageous enough to be, on the lawsuits and actually named plaintiffs, etc. So it could happen. I don't know. We just have to wait and see. Bad internet. Small summary after the live session. I'm not going to summarize questions and my answers. No, I don't do that. I have to watch how much time I spend on this. Okay, let's see. I get this question quite a lot. Would KCC send a 2NL without being documentary qualified? No, there's no possibility of that. The only possibility of that for lawsuit cases is that they very quickly qualify the case. So you may have a plaintiff in Go case, for example, that is not documentarily qualified because their documents were never looked at. They haven't got to that point in the numbering order, right? They could not schedule that interview without documentarily qualifying that case. But what they could do is they could dig into the email box out of order, and they could look at the documents, which would take them 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, and they could qualify that case in order to then send the 2NL, right? But it is not possible to get a 2NL without being documentarily qualified. It's, that's the point of it. You have to be documentarily qualified in order to be scheduled. That's the law. So yeah. Okay. Question is this a high case number or a low case number? Cases in all regions start at case number 1 and they go up to different points. And so if you know that in Asia, you're hearing about case numbers at case number 30,000 and yours is 5,900 and something, work it out. Is that low or is that high? You should know that 1 is low and 30,000 for Asia is high. And at 5,900, you can work it out. Yeah, it seems like an arbitrary, unnecessary question to me, but there you go. Samuel, Brett, things are becoming a little complex. A little complex, no shit, Sherlock. It's very complex. Some countries are experiencing a new wave of COVID. Absolutely they are. Embassies are deprioritizing green card lotteries notwithstanding. However, we keep the faith alive. Well, thank you for keeping the faith alive. But you're absolutely right, Samuel. We're in difficult times. And again, I've been saying this for months and months and months. This COVID thing is a serious thing and it's going to continue to be a problem. And, in the States, I've got friends and acquaintances who think it's a question whether they should be vaccinated or not. So for anybody listening, if you have the potential to get vaccinated, you should do it for your own health, for sure, right? You should definitely do it for yourself. But you also should do it because it takes the people that are running around this country, stupid people like Republicans, who are running around this country unvaccinated and think that the vaccination is some sort of political stunt or whatever the stupid things they think. Those people are fuel for the fire. Those people are keeping COVID going. If everybody was vaccinated, in the USA, for example, where we've got enough vaccinations to cover everybody, if everybody was vaccinated, the COVID crisis would die out like that. It would just die out in America. Now, you may be in a country where there isn't COVID vaccinations, but you can do your bit. You can stay socially distant. You can wash your hands. You can wear a mask, and you can take precautions. And if you're not doing those things, and you're noticing that your country is having a disaster, well, that's partially your fault that your country's having a disaster because you're not doing the things that you should be doing. So wash your hands, wear your mask, stay socially distant, and if you've got a chance to get a vaccination, get the bloody vaccination, right? It's just obvious. So the sooner we can do this, the sooner everybody can be protected in that way, the sooner we can get out of this nightmare that the last 18 months has been, of this COVID crisis. And it's going to get worse before it gets better because the Delta variant is, really, really bad, much more transmissible, much more deadly. But it's the people who are dying from COVID in America at the moment, over 99% of them are unvaccinated people. Think about that. It's like an idiot test. You think it was smart to not get the vaccination? Well, you're 100 times more likely to die from COVID now. Thank you very much. Which means that there's going to be less Republican voters in the future. That's all it means. Sevak, I'm a 2020 winner, received a letter, ready for scheduling. Right now you're in the USA. Should I apply for adjustment of status? No, hang on. If you're a DV2020 case, no, you cannot apply for adjustment of status. Your case is over, you're done, it's finished, right? The only chance you would have is by going through consular processing if we get the Gomez case, right? And I'm assuming that you're telling me accurately that you're a DV 2020 winner, not 2021 or 2022, right? But no, you can't do an adjustment status case on a DV 2020 case, even if Gomez wins. Adjustment status is done. Can I tell you a little bit more about the tier system? Says Praveen. At some time around about a year ago, the government looked at what are the priorities in immigration as far as they're concerned. And I don't agree with this, and the and our lawyers, the lawyers fighting these cases, don't agree with this. But basically, they prioritized other types of visas before us. They did like Afghan interpreters, for example. They prioritized them very highly, which is correct. And then they got to family-based visas, etc. That's fine. I understand why they think there's a priority. But what they did was they had 4 tier levels: 1, 2, 3, 4. And DV, for some reason, they put DV immigration interviews in tier 4. And what they said was, to every embassy, they said, if you've got, you look at all the cases you've got. If you've got any cases in tier 1, they're your priority. Tier 2, that's your next priority. And tier 3, which is family-based, they're a priority. If you have any time left, then you can do some cases from DV from tier 4, which includes DV cases, which means that in most embassies, they're not doing anything like their full capacity of DV visas, DV interviews. They're just doing the other cases. And some embassies are saying, no, we've got enough cases in categories in tier 1, 2, and 3 to never do any tier 4 interviews. And so we're not doing them. And case in point would be Montreal, for example. They are operating, they're open for tiers 1, 2, and 3, but not for tier 4. And so we're trying to argue that in the lawsuit right now, because it's the other cases, the other categories don't have the same deadline that DV has. And so that's why that decision seems, arbitrary, and therefore challengeable in the lawsuits. That's what we're doing. Okay. Already did that one. Your DV2020 case number is low. No interview till now. Okay. It's a comment. It's not a question I can answer though. Good to see you again. AF 46,000 here. DV2021. Would KCC send to NL without being? No. Already answered that question, and I explained it well. Nepal case number 43XX. What's the update, sir? No, there's no way I can answer that question, Sonny, because I don't know what year you're in for a start, and I really don't know what question you have. What's the update? I don't know. It's Sunday. That's an update. If you want a more specific answer, be more specific and clear about your question. Okay, 2021 S34, good low case number. You received an email from KCC a couple of days ago to submit the supporting documents. Why would they send the email so late? Because they are trying to show Judge Mehta that they are doing all they can. It won't help you within the normal timelines. They're not, you can send in your documents now if you haven't already sent them. But it's already too late to get a September interview, even with your low case number, right? So go ahead and send them quickly, because if we do get a preservation of visas, you could get an opportunity to get interviewed then. You have got a low case number, so that helps. Massanisa, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, that makes more sense. 900 for Go plaintiffs, not 9K. Okay, so Ghana, do you have a chance? You haven't had the 2NL? Probably not, is the honest answer. I bet there are more people, Ghanaians, who are documentarily qualified and waiting for an interview at Ghana than Ghana will possibly interview before the end of the year. So again, the answer to you, like many, many other people, is wait for the lawsuits. Okay. Please may I know what to do. My case number is 4-something-9 for the year 2022. No region. I have no idea what you mean. A few weeks ago, I tried to send my DS260, but I couldn't send. Okay. So you obviously have to send your DS260. Maybe you should focus on that and ask me a question about that. And why couldn't you send your DS260? Right? That would be a good question to ask me. Proud. You're asking again. Submitted all completed documents. They've gotten a reply that your files are complete. Yeah. Okay. It's a matter of timing about when you receive that. Proud. I don't know if you mentioned it earlier. I'm trying to figure out if I'd answered that earlier, but okay. Murtaza, you submitted your DS260 form single, and now you're planning to get married. Okay, get married, and then add your spouse to your DS260. The process is you marry first, make sure you've got the marriage done. You unlock your DS260 because your own DS260 will need adjusting. You'll need to add your spouse onto your DS260 and change your marital status. You then, there's a button underneath your form which says add applicant. You add another applicant, which will be your spouse, and create a DS260 for your spouse, right? Each one of you needs your own DS260. Every single person of any age that is going to want a green card has to have their own DS260. So it's the same for a spouse or a child of 1 year old or 10 years old or whatever. Each individual that wants to go to America and get a green card has to have their own DS260. Okay. Do I think there will be more cases we'll have interviews for DF? No, absolutely not. I saw something. It's like people are not paying attention if they think that's going to happen. I mean, honestly, what the hell do you think is going on? Unless the lawsuit, the judge tells the government how to operate and tells them what to do. The government are very happy with what they're doing. They think they're doing a great job. They're not going to change anything unless they're instructed to do so. And I saw something going around on Twitter this morning about a complete misunderstanding again by the lawyers about processing, which maybe the lawyers understood what they were talking about. This was Raphael. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, I don't know. But he confused everyone, or everyone then got confused and said, oh, they'll double that and I'll have 10,114 interviews in September. It's complete nonsense. We're not going to see anything like that. It's not what's going to happen unless the judge orders it, right? That's it. No, Mataza, it isn't. I already just said how you do that, right? I tell you what's risky. What's risky is what some people do, where they get married, but they think they're being clever, and they don't unlock their form and add their spouse, and they think that they need to be clever in some way, and they end up telling a lie, basically by saying that they're still single when actually they got married. You want to talk about risky? That's risky. That's stupid, right? What's not risky is being truthful. So you get married and you're truthful. You have to change your marital status. You want to include your spouse? Include your spouse. There's no problem with that. As long as the relationship is a genuine relationship and you're not just trying to get an extra green card for someone that, is offering you $1,000 or whatever it might be to get them a green card. If it's that, then you're not being truthful. You're lying, you're cheating, you're a fraudster, and you will both be disqualified and possibly charged with immigration fraud. But if you're in love with someone and you've decided you can't leave your home country and you want to go to America with them, then you should get married and you should add that person onto your case but in the method I said. Okay? Being truthful is not risky. Okay? Being truthful is just how you operate. So there you go. Momo, hi. In the family section, when writing the name of my adoptive parent, should I put it in between bracket or adoptive father? Since it doesn't matter, makes no difference. Nobody cares about your adoptive parents. Just go ahead and put whatever name there is. And if they're interested in asking you later, why have they got a different name? They'll ask you at the interview. But I very much doubt they'll be at all interested. Right? Okay, let's see. Just reading a couple of questions ahead. Embassy in Ethiopia said it would be completed by September 30th. They did not send any second email. Yeah, the embassy don't send any second emails at all, ever. That's not how it works. The KCC send the 2NLs, the second emails. So I don't understand why you're saying about the Ethiopian embassy. It's nothing to do with them. All the Ethiopian embassy say is they tell KCC how much capacity they've got on any given month. That's it. Then KCC decide which cases to forward to the embassy. That's how it works. Your case number is OC 2022-13X. Do you have any chance? Yeah, it's a good number, Alvin. It's not a bad number. The question is, what's the COVID situation in the country where you live? The question is also, will they continue to do this tiered system? The question is not about your number. Your number's fine. But the question is really about, is the embassy, going to be shut down because COVID goes, crazy? That's a real possibility in some countries. And, that's really what the risk is, right? Not to do with your number. Greetings, Brit Simon. Thanks for the wonderful work. Been following up with all the updates. Got interviewed, visa granted in the US now. Fantastic, David. That's awesome news. I'd love to hear the good news. Okay. Asma, you're asking a number of questions, really basic questions. But again, I explained how you can just apply a little bit of simple logic to find out whether it's a high case number or not. But I also started off earlier saying for DV 2021, your case number means nothing anymore, right? So, yeah, asking me is it a high case number or not is kind of pointless when it's not about that in DV 2021. Momo, okay, sorry, we already answered that one. Kirish, you're Iranian. Oh, okay, this one I think we asked earlier, right? We answered that one earlier. Okay. Yeah, I've been asked about this one, Omar. The Turkish embassy published something, and they've said that for DV applicants, they're only going to take Turkish citizens, Turkish nationals. It's actually not to do with them, so they can say whatever stupid thing they want to say. But their only involvement in terms of who gets scheduled is saying how many cases, how many interviews they can fit in. They don't get to pick and choose who gets scheduled. They don't. So, people need to stop freaking worrying about what the embassy is saying, and just realize that KCC picked the cases. Now, KCC are not scheduling people at foreign interviews. So if you live in France, but for whatever reason you want to be interviewed in Turkey, that KCC is not going to do that, right? But they will schedule a non-Turkish national that lives in Turkey. They will schedule that person at the Turkish embassy, and the embassy have got no choice but to accept that case. No choice, right? That's how it works. Hi Simon, 2022 winner, and I have sent my DS260 application, but I didn't get an email to send the documents. What should I do? Everybody, what should we do? Send the bloody documents. Just send the documents. Everyone, send the documents, right? Don't ask me, I've got a high case number, I'm in this country, or my hair is orange. I don't care about any of those other factors. Just send your bloody documents, right? That's it. 2022 cases, 2021 cases, send your documents. If you haven't already sent them, send them, right? Everybody, repeat after me. Send your bloody documents. I did that one. You're asking me the same thing. There have been no interview for Iranians at all. Do you know why? Well, yeah. I mean, firstly, they've had embassy problems. Secondly, it takes longer to get an Iranian case through the system because there's additional background checks, there's additional concerns. Males in particular, Iranian males in particular, tend to have long periods of administrative processing. And so, yeah, it's just not looking good for Iranian cases. And there's many countries going through very difficult times, but yes, it's always going to be more difficult for Iranian cases. And it's largely to do with the position of Iran, the government's position in Iran against America. and their lack of cooperation. They don't cooperate. They won't cooperate with America. Whereas most countries, for example, will provide background checks, will provide, no-fly list information and that sort of thing. Iran just won't cooperate with America, and it disadvantages Iranian selectees, I'm afraid to say. Okay. Yeah, so you chose Abu Dhabi for interview, right? So DV lottery cases will be scheduled based on your home residence address. You may have a good chance because you're AS2800, you've got a low case number, but just make sure you get your DS260 in and your documents in, etc. Because as you're an Iranian, if you're able to get scheduled for interview, you need to have more time, several months more time for the background checks that are necessary after interview. So you've got a chance, it's just not a certainty. It should be more certain than that, but it isn't, Yeah, so your DV 2022 is, man, you emailed them to reopen your application 1 month. They haven't responded. What should you do? Wait a little bit longer. They're probably responding in around about 6 weeks, roughly, at the moment, because they're that backed up with emails. So it shouldn't be too much longer. You've got a low case number. Obviously, it's frustrating that you needed to even unlock. Frankly, it would have been better for you to have submitted the form with the right information to begin with. But never mind. You'll just have to wait. It won't cost you anything in the long run. If they go past your number or anything like that, doesn't mean you're out of luck. You'll just get scheduled when you're ready. That's how it will work, right? Barry's asking, do we still have a chance in Gomez if you're on AP? Yep. If you were listening earlier, you may have heard me say that sort of case where people were on AP, if that AP completed, it may mean that you've got that you'll be prioritized through quite quickly, because you've already been interviewed, and if the embassy were able to satisfy themselves about your case, that do whatever it was that was causing your case to be on AP, then yeah, when the 9,095 are released for issuance, you might get issued quite quickly. So you've got a good chance, but just no guarantee like everyone else. There's just no more guarantees at the moment, in DV lottery. Okay. Yeah, let me pick a few more questions. Hi, Simon. 2022 EU 10K. Will we get visas by September 22 by this pace? Yeah, you could do, but it depends where in Europe you are. It depends how bad the COVID crisis is there. It's all about COVID. It's not really to do with your number. It's just to do with COVID. And, there are no bans that affect us right now. It's all about, the COVID situation and the prioritization. So yeah, you've got a chance. Make sure you got your documents in. Make sure you name your documents correctly. Make sure you put the subject line correctly. Do all of those things. Just follow the process as much as you can, and fingers crossed you'll get through. Just reading some questions. I'm getting a lot of repeated questions, so I'm just ignoring those. Yeah, so there will be a new lottery period opening up in October, and anybody who is already a winner in DV 2020 or DV 2021 or DV 2022, any of those people, anyone can apply to be in DV 2023. There's no harm in applying again. I recommend people do. Why wouldn't you? It doesn't cost you anything to enter. Don't go through any agents. Don't be stupid enough to give some stranger your information and make yourself open to their blackmail later on. Don't be that stupid. wait for the official entry system to open up in October, and then re-enter. Quite simple. It's a 10-minute process, as you should already know. So yeah, you can do that. Alex, this is an interesting question. Do I think people who had US visas before submitting the DS260 can be processed faster since their backgrounds were studied at any time before? No, I don't think that gets a case processed faster. Largely because the background checks between non-immigrant visas and immigrant visas are necessarily different. There's different standards applied. So one doesn't necessarily help the other. The only real advantage is, if you've been in America before, you don't have to provide police certificates for America because the government have access to all the databases from all the police forces, etc. They know your police history already. They know your criminal history, if you have any, in the USA. They've got access to all of that. That's the only advantage. But no, it doesn't mean you'll get your DS260 processed faster. Okay. Luke, I was out of network. 47,000 case number, Africa interview, DV2021. I guess, Luke, you're asking, what's your chance of getting an interview? It really depends whether you're documentarily qualified, ready for scheduling or not. And unfortunately, you didn't tell me. If you weren't, and frankly, with an AF 47,000, unless you were documentarily qualified in around about August of last year, then you have no chance, unless the lawsuit is actually won, right? That's the only chance that you have now, same as many, many other people. Is it late to fill in the DS260? Again, what year are you? It's too late for a DV2020. It's too late for a DV2021. But are you DV2022? That would be good information to tell me, right? And no, it's not too late, if that's the case. Okay, Justin is asking about a sponsor. If I couldn't provide a sponsor, I didn't have enough savings. Why not borrowing money for interview? What a stupid thing to do. Don't do that. Don't borrow the money for the interview. Number one, it's obvious you borrowed the money for the interview because you'll show bank statements and it will show a large deposit. And then they'll say, where did that large deposit come from? And you say, well, I borrowed the money for the interview. And they'll think you're a moron because that's a stupid thing to do. Don't do that, right? It shows that you're trying to be dishonest with the government. It creates suspicion. It shows that you're unwise in handling money because borrowing money in order to pass an interview is a stupid thing to do. And it's going to reflect badly on you. So don't do it. That's a stupid, stupid thing to do, right? Don't do it. Okay, that's my old man advice to a younger man, I would imagine. You have to be more sensible than that in life, right? Don't make silly short-term decisions thinking you buy yourself advantage when actually you dig a big hole. You cost yourself interest on the loan. You demonstrated bad wisdom. You've demonstrated a lack of integrity. I mean, just in so many ways, it's just silly. Honestly, oh dear. I wonder about people sometimes. Sorry, Justin, but I don't understand the thought process that gets you there. But as I say, I mean, I'm probably a little older than you, perhaps a little wiser than you, but still, I don't understand the thought process. Yeah, sorry. Benali, do you think people who received the email that tells ready for interview by the end of April would get an interview in September? So end of April. In some cases, possibly. If you had an embassy that had good capacity but very few applicants, right, who are ready for scheduling, then yes, in theory, you could see some cases being scheduled at that embassy, whereas other embassies mainly, maybe were only taking cases that were ready for scheduling it up until January or February or something. It could go further at Embassy A versus Embassy B because Embassy A has capacity and has very few cases, right? So I can't say a definite no and I can't say a definite yes. It would depend on the embassy, and even if you told me the embassy, I wouldn't be able to guess it exactly. I'm just saying there's a possibility, right? That's all I'm saying. Okay. September King says, are you only king in September? What about the rest of the month? Are there 11 other people that are king? What a shame to only be a king 1 month a year. Or a very strange name, I don't know. I have fill up working experience in DS260 form, but I haven't submitted work experience letter. Will it reject the second letter? No. You were not required to submit a work experience letter. At no point has anyone given you instructions, so why would they to do that? So why would they reject it? No. If you, at the interview, the way it works is they would normally ask for your education proof, right? Which you've hopefully detailed everything in your DS260, what your education is. If you meet the qualification requirements in education, that's it. They don't ask you anything else about your work experience. If, on the other hand, you can't meet the standard required in education, then they may start asking you questions about your work experience, and that's when you would pull out a letter if that's necessary, if that's required in your country, to prove your work experience, right? That's how it works. You don't send it as part of the DS260 or the documents. Rita says, a friend of mine got selected 2022 OC 500. Embassy here in Suva is operational but quite slow. DS260 submitted and document sent, however, no response from KCC yet. Well, your friend's done all the right things, that's good. And we'll just have to be a bit patient now and waiting for the processing of documents and that sort of thing. And hopefully the situation in Suva will get better and better. And, hopefully that embassy will be interviewing people later on. Okay? Fingers crossed. Okay. Yeah, another question here. AF 24,000 for DV 2022, waiting for the 2NL. Oh, you're waiting for NL. Do you know, and when you say NL, you're probably asking about the the documents email, not the 2NL. But have they started sending out emails? I think they've started with very, very few cases, not very many. So there are not many cases ready for scheduling for DV 2022 yet. And of course, your number, 24,000, it won't be ready in any case until next February or March or so at the earliest. So, you've got a long time to wait. You have to be a bit patient, okay? Onyx MF, you sent your documents the other day. You realized you put an extra digit in the case number at the end. Then I've resent it with the correct one. Will that cause a problem? Well, they'll sort next to each other, funnily enough. If you've done it correctly and you put the subject line with your full case number, the year, the region, the full case number with the leading zeros. If you did it correctly on that one, on the second one, then that's the documents that I'll read. The first one will sort exactly by that. It will be the next document down, next email down. But they'll probably just ignore that one. So it's good that you sent the other copy. Nani Yao, I'm sorry I didn't get you well where you leave and the place you schedule your interview. Oh, okay. So let's say I live in France and for whatever reason I asked to be interviewed in Germany, right? Just as an example. So in my DS260, one time when I start my DS260 the first time, there's a drop-down list where I can pick the embassy I want to be scheduled at, right? But I also put my home address as being living, in my example, I'm living in France, right? So no matter what you pick on the drop-down in terms of the embassy that you want to be interviewed at, they will ignore that pick-down selection, the drop-down selection, and they'll schedule you based on where you live. Right? That's how it works. And what some people have found is that they've wanted to change the location on the drop-down at some later date, and you'll find that you can never change it again. Only KCC can change the drop-down and pick a different location. So essentially, KCC control where your case will be scheduled, but they will not recognize the initial selection that you make unless you contact them by email and explain why you want to be interviewed in Germany, and they accept your explanation and so on. That's the only way to be scheduled at some other location other than your home country or your resident country location. There are some countries where the embassy is just closed in the country where you live, and in those cases, KCC are well aware of that, obviously, and they simply schedule the cases from that country in the other neighboring embassies which have agreed to accept those cases. That's how it works. Okay, I hope that's more clear. 2021, Asia, case number 5000, submitted the documents, received, ready for scheduling, 12th of March. I live in Saudi Arabia, but still didn't get the 2NL. You've got a chance of getting it, I would say, a chance of getting the 2NL for September if they've not already sent out the interview schedules for Saudi Arabia. There's some chance, you have to wait and see. Okay, last couple of questions. Oh, there's a question here. Masma, what should you write on the subject line of the email we will send the docs? I mean, should we write case number with zeros or without, and what should we write on the email? Okay, I'm going to say this one time very, very carefully so that you get this exactly right. This is very important. The subject line of the email that you send to KCC documents should only have the case number and the complete case number as you saw it originally in your original you have been selected letter, as you saw it there, right? So we often reduce that. Let's say your case number 2022 AF 65,000. We say AF 65,000, but actually the number is AF 000 65,000 and something, right? So you have to, in the subject line of your email that goes to KCC documents, you put that whole thing in there. 2022 AF 000 65,000, or whatever is your number, right? And the first zeros that I just mentioned about, the 000 in the case that I've given there, that's what I call leading zeros. Leading zeros. So when you're communicating to KCC, you give them the leading zeros with your case. If you've got an Africa or EU region or Asian region number which is more than 10,000, you'll have 3 leading zeros. If you've got a number that is under 10,000, you'll have 4 leading zeros. You might have 5 leading zeros if you've got a really low number. Whatever number of zeros it is, look on your selection letter from the beginning and quote that number exactly as you see it there, with all the zeros that it has, exactly as it shows there, with the year and with the region. Nothing else. You don't put anything else in the subject line. In terms of the email body, it doesn't matter what you write in there. It's automatically processed by a system anyway. It doesn't matter what you write in the body of the email. And when you're sending documents to KCC documents email, you have to attach the documents to that, right? You can write something in the email. It doesn't harm your thing it doesn't harm your case to do something like that, but I don't think it's going to be read at all. So if you have to send some sort of explanatory note, like here's my police certificate for country A, but I don't have a police certificate from country B because the reciprocity page says it's not required. You put that explanation in a PDF document. You don't leave it to the body of the email. Okay, I hope that's all clear. I really hope so, because this has certainly cost people their green cards over the last couple of years, I believe. I wish I could show you this, but it's got so much profanity that I don't want to put it up there. But normally I would put it up there because you're such a moron that I would just like to show people what a moron you are. So Chara Hansen, you are a moron, and I'm a, let's see, arrogant piece of shit. You think you know everything, looking ass, lying ass. Okay, you've got anger issues, you're an idiot, and thanks for your comment. Apart from that, have a great day. Okay. Moron. An absolute moron. It's like, for me to take my time out to type that sort of list of profanity to someone that I don't know, I don't care about. I mean, what sort of stupid life do you have that you're going out of your way to type a bunch of swear words in a computer at some stranger? Honestly, you petty little child. That's amazing. It's just amazing. You're such a moron. Oh dear. That's so funny. Anyway, let's move on. Submitted my documents 27th of July. Case number is EU 12,000. Can I be scheduled for interview? Yeah, too late. Angel, I think I might have already answered your question. It's too late, I'm afraid. The only thing you can do is hope for the lawsuit, right? If the lawsuit gets through, then maybe you've got a chance, but it's too late otherwise. Prince Owusu. I'm happy to have a real-life prince in here. 22 AF. Oh, okay, so we already answered this, Prince. I didn't realize you were the same questioner as before. Any good news? Blah, blah, blah. Any good news? So DV2020, just to recap, we're still waiting for the Gomez case. There's no news on DV2020. There's no time that can be predicted about when that's going to come through, so that's the way it works, okay? Right, what else? Just in case, no. Oh, just in case. I just realized I answered the question earlier, but I just realized the joke in your name, just in case. Well done. I like the joke in the name. That's awesome. This is an interesting question I get occasionally. I don't quite understand it because it varies by country. But you're talking about can your patronic name written in October in the entry be a reason for refusal if it's not written in the passport? Our embassy is refusing everyone who has written it in middle name. Is that right? Are they doing that? I hope not. I hope not. So if you have, let me sort of address this in a couple of ways, right? If you've entered the lottery and you've made a mistake in your name a little bit, like you put a character in or even a whole name that isn't strictly speaking part of your name, that in itself shouldn't be a cause for refusal, right? If you then in your DS260 list a name in your DS260 as your legal name that is not your legal name, that can be a problem, right? So, and it can cause refusal. So this patronic name that you have, is that truly legally part of your name? Is it shown in the passport? Is it shown in the birth certificate? If it's not, then it has no business being in your legal name that you put on the DS260. There is a section in the DS260 where it says other names used, and you should certainly put that that other name in there. That would be worth doing. But be very careful about the name you put in the DS260. The only valid refusal that should be made is if you've got a name in your DS260 which is not your legal name. That would be a problem, right? So, but I hope they're not just denying cases. Other than that, I hope that's not the case. And if that is the case, please email me, let me know. I would dig into that a little bit more. They shouldn't be doing that. But I suspect it's to do with you listing a name or someone listing a name that isn't actually their legal name. Okay. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's any other interesting questions. Do I have a better? Oh no, so I've already answered that one. Ivana is a 2022 EU 15,000 winner. Should I send my document to KCC without being asked? In my country, all the documents are valid for 6 months. Is it okay if I send them now? Everybody, what do we say to Ivana? Send your bloody documents, right? Yeah, you send your documents, Ivana. The document that's only valid for 6 months you're talking about in your country is probably the police certificate, and the police certificates are considered valid for up to 2 years in the US immigration process. So ignore what your country thinks is the validity of that document. It's to do what America thinks is the validity of that document. That's up to America. That's not up to your home country. And so yeah, go ahead and send them. You know, everybody should be sending in documents, right? Okay. And you've got a question here, Kwame. I think this will probably be the maybe Chase Dreamer. I'm just going to quickly answer this. Send the bloody document. I mean, genuine document. How is that, Brett? Well, yeah, always send the genuine documents. Don't send fake documents unless you want to be denied at your interview. So, yeah. Kwame, academic certificate date of birth is different from my passport and birth certificate. Passport and birth certificate have the same. Will it be have the same? Will it be a problem? Your birth certificate is what details your birth, right? Your passport should match what's in your birth certificate because your birth certificate is obtained based on your birth certificate. But the legitimate document to describe your date of birth is the birth certificate, and the passport should match that. What your school thinks is your date of birth has got no freaking value at all. It doesn't matter what they think is your date of birth. So if they've made a mistake, or even if, and this happens, and I know it happens in Africa a lot, even if you deliberately gave a wrong date of birth to the school because you wanted to get an education but you're older and all this sort of thing, that has no bearing on the immigration process at all, right? Your date of birth is established from the birth certificate and confirmed by the passport, okay? Right. Okay, so it's the Kazakhstan embassy who's written that in the middle name. They are proving it as we don't have it in our international passport. We have it in the national. No. So in other words, you screwed up. It's not part of your legal name. It's just your national passport, as you call it, is not the international passport. Your international passport has it should have, unless you've made a mistake, it should have your legal name. So basically, when you then go and present the international passport at the embassy and it doesn't match and you've inserted this other name in there, they are right to deny that case. They can deny that case. If they're kind, they could kind of cross the name out. They could remove it from the DS260. But unfortunately, what you've done is you've lied to the in the DS260. You provided your legal name and it's not your legal name. So unfortunately, as I was describing, they are entitled to refuse those cases. So yeah, that's probably important information for people in Kazakhstan to understand. You're welcome, Kwame. Okay, I'm almost at the end of these questions, so I'm just going to check that if I've got anything else. Grizzly Mop, you've written a DS260 high school diploma for course of study academic, but not for university academic as well, which I believe I shouldn't do. You think it's no, don't unlock for that. No. Quick answer there. My name and passport is misspelled by one letter. Should I change the passport, or can later correct the name in the green card application? No, you should. If your passport is incorrect, and it's incorrect, right? If your passport is incorrect, you should correct it, and the name you put in the DS260 should match the passport, but that's because the passport should match your birth certificate, right? So yeah, make sure you do that. Nesria, everybody is struggling to get interviews. There are 55,000 visas available in DS 2021, and they're probably going to issue, unless we can win in the lawsuit, they're going to issue 15,000 or less visas. Loads of people in loads of countries, all countries are struggling to get interviews. It's not just about Ethiopia, it's everybody, and hopefully, watch some of the other videos to understand why that's happening, but it's a mess at the moment. It's not just about Ethiopia. Okay. Do I know how many people were selected from South Africa? Visa bulletin. So the way I found that out, or find that out, is to go to the visa bulletin page. And in the September visa bulletin for a few months ago, let me just go back there, fiscal year 2021. You want it, which one do you want it for? You want it for DV 2022? Okay, let me give you 2022. So for DV 2022 South Africa, there are 497 selectees, and you can find that out by Googling USCIS visa bulletin, and go have a look at the August visa bulletin, which has the information on how many winners per country at the bottom of that visa bulletin. Right? Just Google visa bulletin, you'll find it. If you want the, did you mention which year you want? Last DV lottery. Yeah, so that's the one. 497 is the answer. Okay. Yep. Couple more questions then. Yummy Plus, welcome back. You filled in the DS260, but you didn't receive a confirmation email. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's not required for you to get that confirmation email. Grizzly Mob, you submitted DS260 on May 13th, documents on June. Didn't receive the interview. If I don't, okay, so I assume you're DV 2022. Everyone send your bloody documents. You're absolutely right. If you don't get your interview by April, May, you'll lose your mind. I hope you do, but it really depends a lot on the COVID situation. Okay, I think I've probably caught up with the questions. Yep, I think I've caught up. There's nothing really new there as far as I can see. I think I've answered most questions. I do have this one, which is there a possibility to be scheduled in September? No, is the answer there. But you have to wait and see what happens in the lawsuit. So the lawsuit is really what's on everybody's mind. Just to recap, whether you're DV 2020 or DV 2021 or even DV 2022, the lawsuits currently going through at the moment are important. The arguments being made in the DV 2020 case are affecting the DV 2021 case. The arguments being made in the DV 2021 case and the DV 2020 case are affecting the DV 2022 future cases. Right? We're all very much in the same boat at the moment. The lawsuits are incredibly important, and we don't have a day when we're going to have, we don't have a projected day when we're going to have the answers. We just have to wait and see and hope that we get some sort of additional justice, a preservation of visas, the okay to hand out the visas that were preserved in DV 2020 and so on. I'm feeling confident about much of it, I have to say. I think we've got a very strong case. I think the government's got a very weak case. I think they've done, an awful job of justifying their position, because it's just not justifiable. And whilst I think our lawyers have done a very good job in understanding the information and presenting the case in clever ways. So I think we've got a good chance of getting some help, but I don't know when we're going to get that help, and nobody does. Okay. All right, everybody. I hope today's session was interesting and helpful for you. Thanks for everyone who participated, apart from one small child with a very small appendage. The rest of you are wonderful. Just that person was an idiot. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Keep well. Subscribe to the channel and give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Bye-bye.